Excuse me, ma'am. Hold up a second. You set off the alarm.
Huh? I paid for it. See? My receipt's right here.
All right, let me take a look at the necklace.
It's in my hand. I swear I didn't take anything.
Jake Morrison, a 38-year-old mall security guard who had been fired from the Fairfax County Police Department 2 years earlier for excessive force, was patrolling Tyson's Corner Center on a Saturday afternoon in mid-June when the security alarm at Kay Jewelers sounded and he saw a black 15-year-old girl at the jewelry counter holding an expensive necklace. Morrison, who had been authorized by his security company to carry a taser due to his former law enforcement background, assumed the alarm meant the girl was stealing, ran into the store, and when Amara Williams, who was in the process of paying for the necklace with birthday money she'd received the day before, and who had literally just bought matching earrings from the same store 10 minutes earlier, with the receipt still in her hand, proving she was a paying customer, tried to explain that she was buying the necklace and wasn't stealing anything, Morrison didn't ask questions, didn't review the security footage, didn't verify with the store manager, and instead pulled his taser and fired 50,000 volts into the back of a 15-year-old girl who was holding a receipt and cash at a jewelry store counter. Amara collapsed instantly, her muscles seizing from the electrical shock, unable to control her body, and fell forward onto the tile floor with such force that her left shoulder separated on impact, while the necklace she'd been about to purchase, the receipt proving her earlier purchase, her wallet containing $155 in birthday cash, and a birthday card from her grandmother scattered across the floor around her. And when store manager Christine Miller immediately reviewed the security footage and saw that a completely different customer, an elderly white woman, had triggered the alarm by walking past the sensor with an unpaid item from a different store in her shopping bag, and when Miller saw that Amara had been at the counter with her wallet, out preparing to pay, and had never attempted to steal anything, and when 6 different customers who had been in the store pulled out their phones and recorded Morrison standing over a teenage girl he just tasered for the crime of shopping, while black, Morrison's face went pale because he realized every second of what he'd just done was being recorded and would be seen by millions of people. What? What Morrison didn't know was that Amara's mother, Kenya Williams, was the head of emergency nursing at Innova Fairfax Hospital with 19 years of healthcare experience and the medical expertise to document every injury Morrison had caused. That Amara's 18-year-old sister Jasmine had been in the food court 300 feet away getting lunch and would run to the jewelry store within 90 seconds and call their mother immediately. That Kenya would leave the hospital mid-shift and arrive at the mall in 20 minutes to find her youngest daughter on the floor with taser burns on her back and a separated shoulder, unable to lift her arm, crying from pain and shock. That Christine Miller would pull the security footage showing Morrison had tasered an innocent girl who was literally in the middle of making a legitimate purchase with cash and a receipt in her hands. That 6 different customers' videos would be uploaded to social media within the hour and collectively reach 80 million views in 3 days. That Kenya, as a medical professional and the mother of an assaulted child, would document every injury, hire a civil rights attorney that same day, and ensure Morrison faced not just termination, but criminal charges for using a weapon on a minor engaged in a legal transaction. And that Morrison's decision to taser a 15-year-old girl holding a receipt and birthday money at a jewelry store counter, without asking a single question, without verifying what had actually triggered the alarm, without checking with store staff, would result in his immediate termination, criminal charges for assault with a deadly weapon on a minor 18 months in prison, a $950,000 settlement, and his face becoming permanently associated with one of the most viral examples of racial profiling in retail history. Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe a 15-year-old girl should be able to shop at a mall with her birthday money without being tasered by a security guard who assumed she was stealing because of the color of her skin, like this video and subscribe. Amara Williams turned 15 years old on Friday, June 14th, 2024. Her family celebrated that evening with dinner at her favorite restaurant and a cake her father David had picked up from the bakery. But the real celebration was the birthday money. Her grandmother had sent a card with $100. Her parents gave her $50. Her aunt and uncle sent another $50. Amara had $200 in cash, more money than she'd ever had at once in her life. Amara lived in Fairfax, Virginia with her parents and her older sister Jasmine. Her mother, Kenya Williams, was 43 years old and the head of emergency nursing at Innova Fairfax Hospital. Kenya had worked her way up from a floor nurse to charge nurse to nurse supervisor to head of the entire emergency department over 19 years. She was respected, capable, and had seen every kind of injury imaginable walk through those emergency room doors. Amara's father, David Williams, was 45 and a licensed electrician who ran his own small business. Her sister Jasmine was 18, had just graduated from high school in May, and was taking a gap year to work and save money before starting community college. Amara was a sophomore at West Springfield High School. She was quiet, responsible, got good grades, played clarinet in the school band. She'd never been in trouble, never shoplifted, never stolen anything in her life. She was, by every measure, a good kid. On Saturday, June 15th, 2024, the day after her birthday, Amara asked Jasmine if she'd take her to Tyson's Corner Center to go shopping. Tyson's was an upscale mall about 20 minutes from their house. Amara wanted to buy something special with her birthday money, something she'd remember. Their parents were both working. Kenya had a 12-hour shift at the hospital, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Nurses worked weekends. David had gotten an emergency call from a restaurant whose electrical system had partially failed, and he'd had to respond even though it was Saturday. So Jasmine was in charge. Jasmine drove them to the mall in her old Honda Civic. They arrived at 2:15 p.m. and parked in the garage near the Nordstrom entrance. Amara had her birthday money in her wallet, 2 $100 bills, 2 $20, and a $10 bill. She also had her grandmother's birthday card tucked in her wallet because she loved her grandmother and wanted to keep the card with her. The girls walked through Nordstrom into the main mall corridor. Tyson's Corner Center was massive, gleaming, expensive. The kind of place where every store had security sensors at the entrance and loss prevention staff watching for shoplifters. Amara had been to this mall dozens of times. She'd never had a problem. They walked past Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany, and Kos. Jasmine joked that Amara's $200 wouldn't go very far in those stores. They stopped at Sephora, where Amara bought some lip gloss and mascara, $32 total. Then they browsed through a few clothing stores. At 2:40 p.m., they passed Kay Jewelers. Amara stopped. In the window display was a set of jewelry that caught her eye, silver earrings with small blue stones and a matching necklace. The earrings were $45. The necklace was $180. Together, they'd be $225, which was more than Amara had. But separately, "I'm going to look at those earrings," Amara said. They went inside. A sales associate greeted them warmly. Amara asked to see the blue stone earrings. The associate pulled them out, let Amara try them on. Amara looked in the mirror. She loved them. They were perfect. And $45 was reasonable. "I'll take them," Amara said. She paid in cash. The associate rang her up, put the earrings in a small Kay Jewelers gift box, printed a receipt timestamped 2:47 p.m., and handed Amara her change along with the receipt. Amara now had the earrings, the receipt, and $155 remaining in her wallet. Jasmine and Amara left the store and continued walking through the mall. Amara kept looking at the Kay Jewelers gift box in her hands. The earrings were beautiful, but they'd look even better with the matching necklace. The necklace was $180. She had $155. But maybe, "I'm going to see if they'll give me a discount if I buy the matching necklace," Amara told Jasmine. "It's a set. Maybe they'll take $155. Jasmine checked her phone. "Okay, but I'm starving. I'm going to get us food from Chick-fil-A. Meet me at the food court in like 15 minutes. "Perfect. I'll be quick." Jasmine headed toward the food court, which was about 300 feet away, a 2-minute walk through the mall. Amara walked back to Kay Jewelers. It was 2:55 p.m. when Amara entered the store for the second time. She approached the counter with the gift box containing her earrings and her wallet. A different sales associate was working the register now, a younger woman, early 20s, named Sarah. "Hi, I just bought these earrings about 10 minutes ago," Amara said, showing her the box and the receipt. "And I really love the matching necklace. It's $180 and I have $155 left. Is there any way you could give me a discount if I buy them together as a set?" Sarah smiled. "Let me ask my manager." Sarah walked to the back office where Christine Miller, the store manager, was reviewing inventory. Sarah explained the situation. Christine came out, looked at Amara's receipt, saw she just purchased the earrings, saw that Amara was a teenager with birthday money trying to make it stretch. "You know what?" Christine said kindly. "Those are meant to be a set. I can do $155 for the necklace." Amara's face lit up. "Really? Thank you so much." Christine retrieved the necklace from the display case and brought it to the counter. Sarah began ringing up the transaction. Amara set the necklace on the counter, pulled out her wallet, and started counting her remaining cash. She had the receipt from her first purchase in her left hand. She had her wallet open on the counter showing her remaining money. She was in the middle of a completely legitimate transaction. At 2:58 p.m., a customer walked past the security sensor near the store entrance. The alarm went off. Loud, persistent beeping. Red light flashing. The customer who had triggered the alarm was a white woman in her 60s. She'd been shopping at Macy's, bought something, but the cashier had forgotten to deactivate the security tag. When she walked past Kay Jewelers' sensor on her way through the mall, it picked up the still active tag in her Macy's bag. She looked embarrassed, muttered, "Oh, sorry," and kept walking quickly into the mall crowd. Amara looked up, confused. "What's that sound? I already paid for the earrings. I have the receipt." Sarah looked at the sensor. "It's okay. It's not you. Someone walked past with a tag from another store. It happens all the time." But Jake Morrison, patrolling the mall corridor, heard the alarm. Jake Morrison was 38 years old and had been working mall security for Secure Guard Services for 2 years. Before that, he'd been a police officer with the Fairfax County Police Department for 8 years. He'd been fired in October of 2022. The official reason was conduct unbecoming an officer. The real reason was a pattern of excessive force complaints. 12 complaints over 8 years, 10 of them involving people of color, all documented, all investigated, all dismissed until the final one resulted in a lawsuit the department had to settle. Morrison had struggled to find work after being fired. No other police department would hire him. Private security was the only option. Secure Guard Services hired ex-cops and allowed them to carry tasers if they had law enforcement backgrounds. Morrison carried his taser every shift. He'd never stopped thinking of himself as a cop. When Morrison heard the Kay Jewelers alarm, he looked through the store entrance and saw a black teenage girl at the counter holding an expensive-looking necklace. He saw the alarm flashing, and his brain made an instant assumption: theft. Morrison didn't stop to think, didn't observe, didn't verify. He ran into the store with his hand already moving toward his taser. "Don't move!" Morrison's voice was loud, aggressive, cop-toned. "Put that down! Hands up!" Amara, startled, turned, saw a security guard running at her. Her hands went up automatically, the necklace still in her left hand, the receipt from her earlier purchase clutched in the same hand. "I'm buying this. I have money. See, I bought earrings 10 minutes ago." Morrison didn't listen, didn't look at the receipt, didn't ask the store employees, didn't check the security footage. He saw black teenager, alarm, jewelry, assumed theft. "I said don't move." Christine Miller, standing 6 feet away at the register with Sarah, realized what was happening. "Wait, she's a customer. She just..." Morrison pulled his taser from his belt. The yellow and black device was unmistakable. Amara's eyes went wide with terror. "No, wait, I'm buying..." Morrison fired. The taser prongs hit Amara in the back. 50,000 volts surged through her body. Every muscle in her body contracted involuntarily. She couldn't control herself, couldn't speak, couldn't catch herself. She fell forward, completely rigid, and slammed into the tile floor. Her left shoulder took the impact. The joint separated. A grade 3 AC separation, the worst kind. The ligaments tore, the collarbone separated from the shoulder blade. Amara's body hit the ground with a sickening thud. The necklace flew from her hand. Her wallet spilled open, cash and coins scattering. The receipt fluttered to the ground. Her grandmother's birthday card slid across the tile. Amara lay on the floor, convulsing slightly from the residual electrical current, unable to move her left arm, unable to fully process what had just happened. Her shoulder was on fire with pain. Her back burned where the taser prongs had hit. Her entire body felt wrong, every muscle twitching involuntarily. Christine Miller ran toward Morrison. "What did you do? She was buying that? She's a customer. She had a receipt." Morrison looked at the scene. The teenage girl on the floor, the scattered cash, the receipt, the birthday card, the store manager yelling at him, and 6 customers with their phones out, recording. One of those customers was Amanda Rogers, 34, a marketing executive who had been browsing jewelry when the alarm went off. She'd pulled out her iPhone automatically when she heard Morrison yelling and had recorded the entire incident. Morrison approaching, Amara trying to explain, Morrison ignoring her, ignoring the store manager, pulling his taser, firing. Another customer was James Chen, 42, a software engineer, who had been shopping with his wife. He'd started recording the moment Morrison pulled his taser because it seemed like excessive force. 4 other customers also recorded from different angles around the store. Every single one of them captured Morrison tasering a teenage girl at a jewelry store counter while she held a receipt and money. Jasmine Williams was at the Chick-fil-A counter in the food court paying for 2 chicken sandwiches when she heard screaming from somewhere in the mall. She didn't think much of it at first. Malls were loud. But then she heard more shouting. Something in her gut told her to check on Amara. Jasmine grabbed the food and fast-walked toward Kay Jewelers. When she got there, she saw a crowd gathered at the entrance. She pushed through and saw her little sister on the floor, crying, unable to move her arm. "Amara!" Jasmine dropped the food and ran to her sister. "What happened? What did you do to her?" Amara was crying in shock, trying to speak, but her jaw was still twitching from the taser. He tasered me. I had money." Jasmine pulled out her phone and called their mother. Kenya answered after 1 ring. "Hey, sweetie." "Mom, you need to come to Tyson's right now. Someone hurt Amara. She's on the floor. She can't move her arm. Please come right now." Kenya didn't ask questions. "I'm leaving the hospital now. 10 minutes. Kenya actually made it in 18 minutes because Saturday traffic was lighter than usual. She parked illegally in a fire lane, ran into the mall, still wearing her hospital scrubs, and found her way to Kay Jewelers, where a crowd had gathered, and mall security was trying to control the scene. Kenya pushed through. "I'm her mother. I'm a nurse. Let me through." She knelt beside Amara. Her youngest daughter was on the floor, crying, her left arm hanging at a wrong angle, her shoulder visibly deformed. Kenya had seen thousands of shoulder injuries in the ER. She knew immediately this was a separation. Grade 2 or 3. "Baby, I'm here. Don't move. Let me look at you." Kenya's hands were gentle, professional. She checked Amara's pupils, checked her breathing, saw the 2 taser burn marks on Amara's back, where her shirt had ridden up, saw the shoulder separation. Kenya stood and turned to Morrison, who was standing nearby, looking increasingly uncomfortable. "What is your name?" "Jake Morrison. I'm with Secure Guard." "Did you taser my daughter?" Morrison hesitated. "The alarm. She was holding jewelry. I thought—" "You thought what? You thought a 15-year-old girl at a jewelry store counter was stealing? Did you ask her? Did you check with the store? Did you verify anything before you used a weapon on a child?" Christine Miller stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm Christine Miller. I'm the store manager. I was standing right here. Your daughter was buying that necklace. She'd already bought earrings 10 minutes ago. She had cash. She had the receipt. The alarm wasn't even her. Another customer triggered it. I tried to tell him, but he didn't listen." Kenya looked at Morrison. Her voice was cold, professional, devastating. "I'm the head of emergency nursing at Innova Fairfax Hospital. I've been a nurse for 19 years. I know how to document injuries. And I'm looking at taser burns, a separated shoulder, signs of electrical shock, and a traumatized child who was engaged in a legal transaction when you assaulted her. I'm calling an ambulance for my daughter. And then I'm calling a lawyer." Morrison's face went pale. The ambulance arrived 12 minutes later. Paramedics stabilized Amara's shoulder, took her vitals, confirmed she'd been tasered. They transported her to Innova Fairfax Hospital, the same hospital where her mother worked, which meant the entire ER staff knew Kenya and treated Amara like family. X-rays confirmed a grade 3 AC separation, complete rupture of the acromioclavicular and corrugoclavicular ligaments. Surgery would be required. Amara also had 2 taser burn marks on her back, elevated heart rate from the electrical shock, and was diagnosed with acute stress reaction. While Amara was being treated, Amanda Rogers' video hit Twitter at 3:47 p.m. Her caption, "Security guard just tasered a teenage girl buying jewelry at Tyson's. She had cash and a receipt. This is insane." The video was 2 minutes and 12 seconds long. It showed everything. Morrison running into the store, Amara at the counter with her wallet, the alarm blaring, Amara trying to explain, Christine Miller trying to intervene, Morrison pulling his taser, the distinctive crackling sound, Amara collapsing, the scattered money and birthday card on the floor, Christine yelling, "She was a customer." Within an hour, 5 other videos from different angles had been posted. By 6 p.m., the hashtag Justice for Amara was trending. By midnight, the combined videos had 8 million views. By Sunday morning, 30 million. By Monday, major news outlets were covering it. The Washington Post ran the story on the front page Monday morning. Black teen tasered at Virginia Mall while buying jewelry with birthday money. NBC Nightly News featured it Monday evening. The anchor showed the security footage, described the incident, interviewed a retail security expert who called Morrison's actions indefensible. Jake Morrison was fired by Secure Guard Services on Sunday, June 16th, less than 24 hours after the incident. The company released a statement. The actions of the former employee were not consistent with our policies or training. We have terminated his employment and are cooperating fully with law enforcement. Criminal charges were filed in August 2024, assault with a deadly weapon on a minor, battery, excessive force. The Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney reviewed the security footage, the 6 customer videos, Christine Miller's statement, Amara's medical records, and Kenya Williams' documentation as a medical professional. The case was overwhelming. Morrison's trial took place in February 2025. The prosecution played the videos, all of them, from every angle. The jury watched a teenage girl at a jewelry counter with cash in her hand get tasered while trying to buy a necklace with her birthday money. Christine Miller testified. She explained that Amara was a customer, that she'd been in the middle of a legitimate transaction, that the alarm had been triggered by a different person, that she tried to tell Morrison, but he'd ignored her. Kenya Williams testified. She described arriving to find her daughter on the floor, unable to move her arm, with taser burns on her back. She presented medical documentation of every injury, the separated shoulder requiring surgery, the taser burns that would leave permanent scars, the trauma diagnosis. 6 customers testified that they'd witnessed Morrison use excessive force without provocation. The defense argued that Morrison had acted in good faith based on the alarm and seeing a teenager holding expensive jewelry. The jury didn't buy it. Morrison had been a cop. He'd been trained to assess situations, ask questions, verify information. He'd done none of that. He'd seen a black teenage girl holding jewelry, heard an alarm, and immediately assumed guilt. Then he'd used a weapon on a minor without asking a single question. The jury deliberated for 28 minutes, guilty on all counts. Morrison was sentenced in March 2025 to 18 months in state prison. The judge noted that Morrison had used a potentially lethal weapon on a 15-year-old girl engaged in a legal transaction, that he'd ignored the store manager's attempts to clarify the situation, and that he'd shown a pattern of excessive force that dated back to his time as a police officer. As of March 2026, Morrison is currently serving his sentence. Kenya Williams filed a civil lawsuit in July 2024 seeking damages from both Secure Guard Services and the mall ownership. The case settled in October 2025 for $950,000. The settlement broke down as follows. Medical expenses, $47,000. Surgery, ER, physical therapy, ongoing treatment. Pain and suffering, $400,000, emotional distress and trauma therapy, $200,000, punitive damages, $250,000, future medical needs, $50,000, legal fees, $3,000. Kenya used $150,000 of the settlement to establish the Amara Williams Youth Protection Initiative in November 2025. The organization advocates for banning tasers in retail security settings, provides legal support to families whose children face excessive force in stores, and trains retail staff on implicit bias and de-escalation. In its first year, the initiative helped 37 families navigate similar situations. The viral videos continued to spread. By the time the trial concluded, the combined footage had been viewed over 80 million times across all platforms. Amara's story became a case study in retail security training programs nationwide. Mall security companies across the country implemented new policies. Tyson's Corner Center banned tasers for all security personnel. Dozens of other malls followed suit. Secure Guard Services completely overhauled its policies. No more tasers for retail security staff, regardless of law enforcement background. Mandatory de-escalation training. Store manager verification required before any physical intervention. The company's CEO issued a public apology to Amara and her family. Kay Jewelers' corporate headquarters issued its own apology and paid Amara's medical bills, plus an additional $50,000. Christine Miller was promoted to regional manager 6 months later, partially in recognition of how she'd handled the crisis. Amara had surgery on her shoulder in September 2024. The surgeon reattached the torn ligaments using surgical anchors. She wore a sling for 8 weeks. She did 4 months of physical therapy. She still has 2 small circular scars on her back where the taser prongs hit. Permanent reminders of June 15th, 2024. She also still has the birthday card from her grandmother and the receipt from Kay Jewelers. Her mother framed both of them and hung them in Amara's room as a reminder that she'd done nothing wrong. 2 years later, Amara is now 17 years old and a junior in high school. She's become an advocate for retail safety reforms. She's spoken at conferences about her experience. She's met with lawmakers about regulations on security equipment in retail settings. She's testified in support of legislation requiring security personnel to verify with store staff before using force on shoppers. And she's used some of the settlement money to start her own initiative, a program that teaches teenagers of color about their rights when shopping, what to do if falsely accused of theft, and how to document incidents on their phones. Amara still goes to malls, she still shops, but she's never been back to Tyson's Corner Center. The thought of walking through those corridors where she was tasered while buying jewelry with her birthday money is too much. The videos are still online. The one from Amanda Rogers has been viewed 45 million times. If you search Tyson's Mall Taser or Birthday Money Taser or any variation, Amara's story comes up. Jake Morrison's face is permanently associated with those searches. The case is now used in training programs for security personnel across the country. It's shown in retail management courses, it's discussed in criminal justice classes, it's referenced in articles about implicit bias, racial profiling, and the use of force in retail settings. The lesson is expensive. The lesson is public. The lesson is permanent. A 15-year-old girl should be able to shop at a mall with her birthday money without being tasered by a security guard who assumed she was stealing because of the color of her skin. A receipt, cash, and a birthday card aren't just pieces of paper. They're proof of innocence that should have been verified before a weapon was used. And when a store manager says, "She's a customer," that's not a suggestion. It's a fact that security is required to acknowledge before using force. The answer is severe. The answer is 18 months in prison. The answer is $950,000. The answer is national policy changes. The answer is 80 million people witnessing what happened and saying, "Never again." And most importantly, the answer is that young people deserve to shop without fear, and that birthday money should buy jewelry, not trauma. If you believe a teenage girl should be able to buy a necklace with her birthday money without being tasered, share this story. What changes do you think are needed in retail security? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story reminded you that racial profiling in stores is not just wrong, but dangerous, and that teenagers deserve protection from excessive force, subscribe. Because we're not stopping until every young person can shop safely, regardless of the color of their skin.